Welcome back, everyone, to this Week 5 edition of Bruce Monnin's Computer Points. I am Bruce Monnin, your host, recording from the home studio here in Minster, Ohio, home of those 3-2 Minster Wildcats. Also checking in from the greater Cincinnati area, as you would expect, the home of our 2-1 Cincinnati Bearcats. We have our co-host, chief researcher and executive producer, Rebekah Monnin.
Always happy to be here. Sad to hear about the Minster loss. Neutral to hear about the Cincinnati off week.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I'd like to have had the Bearcats play this week and then maybe take Oktoberfest weekend off, but they never consult me on these matters.
Yeah. From what I heard, it was not a good week for Cincinnati sports, so maybe it's the best we didn't have a game going.
That's not altogether true. Believe it or not, the Cincinnati Reds are making a big run. They just might sneak into the playoffs.
I forgot baseball was still happening, to be honest.
So
Good
did
for
many of
them.
us. So, Rebekah, we learned this week we have at least one listener who tunes in just for the figure skating updates.
Oh boy, I'll have to provide.
Do we have one this week?
We sure do. I
Oh,
have one
great.
every week. It's just whether or not it's big enough to interest local football fans. This figure skating season coincides very nicely with high school football. This week, though, on the previous weekend, we had the joy and the pleasure of watching, well, I did, I don't know about anyone else, a competition that's new this year, sort of, called Skate to Milano. It's entirely only existing to determine qualifying spots for the Olympics. So there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of excitement. More importantly, only the people who were potentially able to qualify in points and allocations were allowed to compete, which means everyone who's already qualified wasn't there. So essentially, this was a competition of like the mid-tier figure skaters who really do their best but keep getting blown out of the water by like the Japanese women and American men. It was really exciting because there was no blowout leader. Additional information.
Kind of like
When I say
local college football, but you take Ohio State out, right?
yeah, kind of. Yeah, you already know Ohio State's in the playoff. It's who else gets to go up against them and get the good bowl money. So the other fun nuance of this is that it's not Olympic qualifiers are interesting in that, at least in figure skating, when you qualify for the Olympics, you don't qualify yourself, you qualify your country. So at World Championships last year, the first place, second place, third place locked in 3 or 2 positions for their country at the Olympics. This is the unallocated spots from Worlds. So you've got, for example, a skater from Ukraine who was really good and able to meet the requirements for the Olympics, but they needed to beat out everyone else to make sure that Ukraine gets a spot. And then closer to the actual time, it'll be around January, each of their countries' skating unions will determine who's their best shot for winning medals at the Olympics. And they'll pick, based off of individual skater or team performances, who gets to go. So it's a system. It's kind of ungratifying to the teams who actually qualified you. But if you qualified the spot and then retired, it opens it up for someone new to go to the Olympics.
Reminds me a little bit, the World Cycling Championships are going on in Rwanda right now, which has its own political aspect of why they're in Rwanda at the moment,
Yeah, I
but
was wondering about that.
it has something to do with the head of the cycling organization looking for support as he tries to get elected head of the Olympic Committee
Mm,
and
hmm
things like that. But anyway, in when they get to the big road race, each country doesn't have the same number of riders on their team. It depends on how
hmm
well the country's done as a whole over the last year. And then the countries, so some have 9, some have 1. I think the US usually has about 4 or 5. But then the countries themselves pick who those people are, not the people
Correct.
don't qualify individually. So same type
Yeah,
thing,
and
eh?
yeah. And you can probably you can take a guess as to who's going to go. A lot of the smaller countries that are fighting for these spots only have like one or two Olympic level skaters to send out anyway, so it's like you're going. America gets interesting. We've got three spots locked in everything except ice dance, I believe, which is the max. And that'll be a result of nationals and a result of your whole career. The US figure skating group usually picks to send people who have both performed at high levels but also have consistency. So if you're a new person on the scene and you've only skated like two international competitions, even if you've got high points, they might send a more experienced person who's a little less, we'll call it dynamic in the
Oh, is
so
figure skating like some other Olympic sports where maybe the someone who's about the fifth or sixth best American skater somehow ends up skating for Guatemala?
yeah, yeah, that happens. There's a lot of changing in citizenship right before the Olympics. You'll notice there's quite a lot of people with it's called Eastern European last names skating for people who are not Eastern European countries because Russia and Belarus are still banned from international competition. So a lot of Russian skaters, or honestly skaters who, like you said, we're not high enough to be considered for like America, will go for, hey, my mom's Argentinian. Let me see if Argentina wants a skater. So there's one of those out there, and like Cyprus snapped up a couple people, and Israel snapped up a couple people, and you'll see a lot of those.
All right.
Um, yeah. The other fun thing I want to bring up, so they did determine our qualifying spots. I'm not going to give you the rundown. You can check out rocker skating podcasts for those. He actually a really good breakdown of it all. But apparently there was slight drama, just like there always is in competition. But this qualifying competition was held in the Olympic rink from the Beijing Olympics, and there's some suspicion that's not very hard to pick up on that the scoring was a little bit favored towards the Chinese skaters during that competition. So that was interesting. China came in with like one spot guaranteed, one of the disciplines. There are four men's, women's, pairs, and dance, and they came out with three disciplines qualified, and the dance and the women's skaters skated in right on the line with some really, let's just call it interesting judging determinations on the technicality of their skates. So,
Yes, yes. You're a little young to remember this, but in the past, as good Americans, we would always watch the Olympics, and it was always big who would come out ahead, the Soviet Union or the United States. And the Soviet Union could always count on good marks from the Bulgarian judge.
yeah, yeah, they've standardized it a bit, so it's a little harder to fudge the numbers, but there's still ways to fudge the numbers. That and the neutral athletes who were in skating just for themselves but are Russians always get pretty high points, but they're
Well, you
impressive
know,
skaters.
well, you know what, Rebekah? As we move on to the high school football front, we will not be fudging the numbers here.
Ah, a transition. Yes, good, excellent. Cold hard facts.
We are halfway through the regular season. This is the first week I feel very comfortable listing who are practical locks for the playoffs and listing what needs to happen for teams to reach the postseason.
And there'll be no swaying of that at all. It's all based on statistics.
Yes, the Bulgarian judge has no sway here. As for the podcast itself, I don't think we have any gimmicks to throw out there this week. We did get word from a certain anonymous listener that they appreciated the effort last week and enjoyed it very much.
So in payment, we're going right back to overusing the word weak.
Now we'll see. Maybe we can dial it back just a little bit. But anyway, without the gimmicks this week, we have just computer point numbers and semi-informed playoff speculation to give you.
All right.
Oh, and the music will be back, by the way.
Yes. It was actually kind of not that difficult to cut out all of the weeks, except for in the part where we had scripted music.
That was a little difficult. So anyway, straight to Division One, Region Two, Rebekah.
Let's do it.
We covered two teams here. They both lost in week one, and we were dismayed. They are both now on 4-game winning streaks. Both of these teams are favored by well over 3 touchdowns this coming week. Oh, look at that. There's a couple of weeks already.
We're doing it so much already. I'm tempted to get out the clicker.
Both of our teams play 3-2 opponents, so the computer points may rise nicely for these teams. At number 2, we have Troy. They are locked into the top 8. So at least a home playoff game for Troy. And they are expected to finish 8-2, which would earn them a first round bye in the postseason. Number 3 right now is Finley. They are expected to finish 7-3. That should also be good enough to crack the top 4 and get a first round bye. So we might have a week off the first round of the playoffs for Region 2, Rebekah.
We
Fingers
might. We
crossed.
sure might.
Going down to Division 2, Region 8, we'll start with number 8, Lima Senior. And as a quick reminder to everyone, when you hear these numbers, the top 12 teams get into the playoffs. If you are ranked 1 through 4, you get a bye in the first round of the playoffs. If you are ranked 5 through 8, you host the first round game. If you are ranked 9 through 12, you get on the buses in week 1 of the playoffs. So Lima Senior, number 8 at the moment, and Piqua is number 16. They both defeated winless squads. Lima is likely in the playoffs, mostly because they play a lot of teams they're expected to beat up on pretty good in the Toledo City League the rest of the way out.
Gotcha.
The Spartans will probably finish in the top 8. They are favored to win big over 1-4 Toledo Woodward. Piqua is going to be an underdog against 4-1 Xenia, but they are favored to win their final 4 games afterwards. If that happens, if they finish 6-4, that will get the Indians into the playoffs. If they lose one of those final 4 and end up 5-5, they are going to be in what I would call bubble territory.
Bubble territory.
A little
Now, is
scoreboard
that
watching in week 10.
gotcha? Do you have a
Okay.
range of numbers for bubble territory? Is it like
Eh,
13 to 16, or is it more points based?
no, I'm thinking more like about 11 to 14. The final 2 spots in or the final 2 out, somewhere around there.
Okay, good to know.
That is a rough definition, by the way.
Sure. I'm gonna hold you to that. Check them all.
In Division 3, Region 10, Wapakoneta is ranked number 2 in the region. They are listed as playoff bound already. Just my guess, they're going to get a first round postseason bye if they have 3 more wins out of their final 5 games. Definitely if they win 4 of the last 5. The Redskins are 2 or more touchdown favorites in all 5 games. So winning 3 or 4 is quite
Should be
likely, I would
doable.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
At number 5, we show Lima Shawnee. They also need to end the season with 8 to 9 wins to earn a first round playoff bye. If they get up to 7 wins on the season, they should get a home playoff game. If they win over number 15 Defiance, it almost locks up the playoff spot for the Indians and makes a home game very likely. Defiance, on the other hand, 3 straight losses have them reeling right now.
Ooh.
And a 4th this week, there's that word again, just about kills their playoff hopes.
Yeah, but you offset it with reeling. That was a good,
You like reeling?
very
I like that.
emotive
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. The trick is to only use it once per episode.
Yeah, you don't want to use it too much.
Currently sitting at number 16, St. Mary's has a 2-3 record, which does not look impressive. But Drew Pasteur's computer projects the Rough Riders to finish 6-4. So projects them to win 4 of their final 5 games and make the playoffs. 7-3 is not out of the question. I believe they are favored in all games, but a couple of the games are not favored by much. So a loss or 2 in there, not out of the question either. If they do get to 7-3, the Rough Riders might have a home playoff game. So sounds like a worthwhile goal. Make some more money for those band boosters or whoever runs their concession stand.
I think everyone's aiming for a 5-0 end of the season.
Yeah, Yeah, everyone would like that, wouldn't they?
I don't know if anyone would turn that down.
Speaking of a 5-0 end of the season, number 22 Salina likely needs to win out to reach the postseason. The good news for the Bulldogs is they are favored this week over 1-4 Kenton and only are a serious underdog in their week 8 game at Lima Bath. So it's quite possible they could win 4 of the 5. The fifth one's going to take a bit of an upset, but if you win the other 4, you're on a roll, right? You can get that done. Division 3, Region 12. Hip City remains at number 1. They spend a lot of time at number 1, Rebekah.
They're not alone. We'll have a couple of those.
Uh, well, Tippecanoe High School has secured a home playoff game after beating 3-2 Vandalia Butler 42-0.
Oof.
They may not stay in that top spot, though, as they play winless Sydney this coming week. Bell Fountain is number 16. They are in playoff trouble after losing to 3-2 Indian Lake. The Chieftains need a what I call a 50-50 type win against 4-1 Kenton Ridge to get back in contention.
Is
And
that
by the way,
just that they're evenly matched, or is that a game where there's a lot of 50 tickets sold?
the good old Marion local Coldwater game, huh?
Right.
That is when I say a 50-50 game or a toss-up game, I have determined my rough definition is neither team is favored by more than a touchdown.
Okay.
At number 18, we have Greenville. They started fast, starting to pile up some losses now. They are 2-3. They need to upset 3-2 Vandalia Butler to keep any postseason hopes alive. Now remember, Tip City just beat Vandalia Butler 42-0 last Friday, so maybe Greenville can do it also, right?
As long as that didn't really fire up Vandalia Butler to do better this week.
Yeah. Greenville's facing a mad Vandalia Butler team, right?
Yeah.
It can work that way too. They could be mad, they could be demoralized. Who knows? Down to Division 4, Region 14. Number 2, Lima Bath is favored to defeat 3-2 Elida, which would make a home playoff game likely and a first round bye probable for Bath. This may be the game which determines whether or not number 14 Elida makes the postseason. Though if they lose, they still have maybe a 2/3 chance if they can win 3 of their final 4 games. But this is the one here. If they can beat Lima Bath, Elida should feel pretty good about the playoffs. Number 6,
Not
Napoleon is probably a lock for the postseason if they can defeat 2 of the 3 teams remaining on their schedule who currently have a 1-4 record. If Napoleon wants a home playoff game, they need to beat all 3 along with one of their other 2 opponents who are both 2-3 currently. So if you're doing the math at home, that's right. The Wildcats' remaining 5 opponents have a combined record of 7-18, not the strongest schedule to wrap up the season.
but a fun math problem for an SAT or something.
Yeah, they should put me in charge of writing SAT math problems. That'd be fun.
Be a good hobby.
Number 8, Van Wert probably needs 3 more wins to reach the postseason. The Cougars will be favored later this season over winless Ottawa Glandorf and over 1-4 Kenton. So if they lose to 5-0 Wapakoneta this week, they will need a mild upset over either 2-3 St. Mary's or 4-1 Lima Shawnee if they want to reach the postseason. Number 11, Ben Logan rose 1 position after defeating 2-3 Tecumseh.
That's a big one.
The Raiders likely clinch a playoff spot if they upset 4-1 St. Paris Graham. A loss drops their postseason chances to about 50%. So it'd be nice if they got the win this week and didn't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 22, we have Kenton, and at number 23, we have Ottawa Glandorf. Both need to win 4 of their final 5 games to have a chance at the playoffs, and that seems fairly unlikely for either squad, to be quite honest.
I'm guessing they don't have a remaining 5 opponents with a combined record of 7-18 kind of schedule.
No, they play like 4-1 WBL teams.
Yeah, that's not an easy path out there.
We'll pull an upset or two. We'll start mentioning them a little deeper here in the podcast.
Sure, sure, sure.
By the way, if your team is currently 0-5, they may not get mentioned here, and they'll be in the same boat. If they start winning some games, pulling some upsets, we'll bring them back in. But right now, we'll consider them not fighting for a playoff berth at this moment.
Yeah.
Let's see. Region 16, our other region here in Division 4. We have Urbana is ranked 17th, so they need to move up 5 spots if they want to make the playoffs. They won an important game against 2-3 Richwood North Union. The Hill Climbers are big underdogs the next 2 weeks against undefeated London and undefeated Jonathan Alder, but have a shot if they win their final 3 games after that, which is possible. Number 19, Bethel has to upset 2-3 DeGraff Riverside to keep any postseason hopes alive. They need to get the win this week, then we'll worry about the final 4 games of the season. I saved all the bonuses for late this week, Rebekah.
What do you mean by bonus?
All of our scores and teams of the week.
Our standard gimmicks. I gotcha.
Yes. So before we get to any of those, we do Division 5. Yes, Region 18. No real change here this week. Number 1, Liberty Center, and number 8, Liberty Benton, remained undefeated by a combined score of 132-7 last Friday.
Yikes. What?
The scary part is Liberty Benton's still only number 8 with a undefeated record.
What the heck? What's going on in this region?
Just for a change, Liberty Center is only a 25-point favorite this week.
After what had to be like an 80-point blowout last week?
Yep. Liberty Benton is a 36-point favorite over 4-1 Arlington. So if the Eagles win out as expected, I'm expecting them to move into the top 4, and a win over 4-1 Arlington is the first stop in getting those computer points coming up a little bit.
Yeah, they better. If they're undefeated and they don't get a bye in the first week, something's going to be weird.
In Division 5, Region 20, we'll start with Miami East. They are 3rd in the standings. They crushed 2-3 Tip City Bethel 41-0. And they play winless Dayton Northridge next. I think the Vikings are almost a lock for the playoffs. I think they're almost a lock for a home game. And I give them at about a 50-50 chance to earn a first-round bye in this region. Number 5, St. Paris Graham. They were on the other end. They were destroyed 42-0 by 5-0 London last week. However, if they get a win over 3-2 Ben Logan, that would make Graham, just like Miami East before them here, a lock for the playoffs, almost a lock for a home game, and about a 2/3 chance of earning a first-round bye. So a big game this week for Graham. Number 7, Versailles looks pretty good to finish in the top 4 of this region if, and I say if, they can upset 5-0 Marion Local this week.
Sure. Okay. Somebody's got to do it at some point.
It's always the idea, yep. Now, if they fail in that quest, the Tigers need 2 more wins to make the playoffs, and their final 4 opponents have a combined 13-7 record. So sort of the opposite of Napoleon there. Their final 5 opponents have a combined record of 18-7.
Yeah, that's going to be a tougher one to do.
If you remember last year with the same schedule, Versailles started the season 5-0 and finished 5-5.
Okay.
Versailles looks like a little tougher team this year. I would not expect a 5-game losing streak this year. At number 9, we have West Liberty Salem. They won a crucial 17-13 game over 2-3 Greenon. Boy, those 4-point games, when you're on the bubble for the playoffs, you really want to be on the good side of those 4-point games, I'd say.
Yeah.
They play another 2-3 team this week, Milford Center Fairbanks. A win increases the Tigers' postseason chance to 50%. A large upset will be needed later in the season if they want to be 100% certain of claiming a playoff spot. Number 10, Indian Lake will essentially lock up a postseason spot by defeating 3-2 North Union and would likely also earn a home playoff game. Winning out looks possible for Indian Lake. That would get the Lakers a first round bye in the playoffs. Where are we at here? What is Indian Lake?
What is
Three and
Indian
two.
Lake?
3-2. Okay. I'd forgotten their record. I knew they had a couple losses at least early in the season. I didn't remember how many.
They're the Lakers, obviously.
They ought to be something with those. All they have is those pontoon boats. It'd be like the pontooners or something would be better.
I I can't think of a better word than pontooner, but it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't it doesn't feel very I don't know, intimidating. How about that?
What about a schooner? A schooner?
Schooners? Are there any schooners on Indian Lake?
I don't know. It's a sailboat, so probably not, but
Could be. I don't know.
maybe.
I'm not enough of a sailing type of guy to know these things.
Pontoon. I'm haven't ever been to Indian Lake, so I couldn't tell you.
All I know is it's very shallow lake.
Pontooner. I think it's
When
the
you drive
accurate word, but gosh, it's silly.
when you drive by, there's a lot of places or a big lot of where you can buy pontoon boats there. In
You
fact, I
can be
believe
a
not
a pontonnier, which is a person who builds pontoons or
Pontonnier,
pontoon
real?
bridges.
Oh,
Pontonnier.
okay.
Pontoon bridges specifically.
I think in the U.S. Army they just call them engineers, don't they?
Well,
That must be a French term, pontonnier.
pontonnier. Anyway, back to Indian Lake.
No, I think we're done with Indian Lake.
Okay,
Let's move on.
cool.
Let's move on to number 12, Arcanum. Arcanum's right there, that 12th and final playoff spot. They suffered their first loss, a 49-13 whooping by 5-0 Rebel Shawnee. Two more wins might be enough to make the playoffs, and Arcanum's next two opponents are each 1-4. So I like Arcanum's chances for the playoffs right now. By the way, those 1-4 opponents are National Trail and Twin Valley South, in case you were wondering.
Okay,
I could
cool.
tell by the look on your face you must have been wondering.
I must have been. We haven't called out any of the other 1-4 competitors, so
Yeah, I know. By the way, Arcanum might need a third win, and that's going to be a little bit tougher to come by. They run out of 1-4 opponents and have to
yeah,
take on
there's
some
only
teams with winning
so
records.
many of those. Yeah.
And finally, we have Milton Union, ranked 21st, won its first game of the season over winless Dayton Northridge. They probably need to upset 5-0 Sidney Lehman to stay in the postseason hunt.
Yikes. That's it. Just yikes.
Just yikes. And that brings us, Rebekah, to our
Scores of the Week.
Yay! We're back.
We are back. Unfortunately, I had a hard time finding many interesting scores this week. I'll
Oh
start with
no.
I'll start with a few that I was mildly intrigued by.
Okay.
I'll start with 2-3 Antwerp defeated 1-4 Hicksville 19-13 in what was considered a mild upset, not much of one, but two 1-3 teams battling it out. Antwerp gets the win and moves to 2-3. They'll, as we'll find out a little later, that puts them in a little bit better playoff shape than Hicksville.
Hmm.
And one that surprised me quite a bit, we had 5-0 Paulding survived against 0-5 Defiance Ayersville, 35-32.
Yeah, that is shockingly close.
I desperately was looking for details of that and could not find them on the internet, at least not on my side of the paywalls.
Sure. What
And
kind of details
similar,
would you be looking for?
like, did Paulding have to
Yardage?
score late to come out to pat for the win, or did Ayersville score late to make it closer? Was there a
Okay.
36-yard field goal blocked as time ran out? Something good like that.
a nice interception run back for a touchdown over 70 yards or something.
Or something like that Browns game this week, where I believe
Blew the
they're
Packers out of the water.
well, the Packers were kicking the game-winning field goal, and the Browns blocked it and ran it back almost all the way down the field, and then kicked their own game-winning field goal.
Uh, I saw
And
nothing of the game other than the Browns fans' responses, so I made an assumption.
well, considering there
I
were
was
people talking,
incorrect.
a few people were talking about whether Green Bay would go undefeated on the season. The fact that the Browns beat them, pretty big.
It's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
And following the trend here, my other mildly intriguing score, 4-1 Mississippi Valley survives 15-12 over 1-4 Twin Valley South. Same deal. I couldn't find any details of this game either. Another 3-point game I really wanted to know more about.
Probably good defense, but that's about all I've got for you.
Or it could be like that Steelers Patriots game that just featured a lot of bad offense.
Yeah, you hope not, but
Anyway, but in the end, my favorite score of the week was Convoy Crestview, now 4-1, also survived against 1-4 Allen East, 34-33. Allen East down by 7, scores a late touchdown. They decide to go for dose, as you hear on all the pro games these days.
Okay.
And
I
after
was
getting
reading that, and all I could read it as was go for dues, and I couldn't
go for
figure out what the
dues,
dues was.
go for dose. Although we are not advertising for Dos Equis here, but but they went for 2. The attempt failed. I didn't hear again details of how it failed, just knew it didn't work. Crestview running back Braxton Leaf had 45 carries for 264 yards and 4 touchdowns. That gives him 1,362 yards and 22 touchdowns on the season through 5 games. So averaging over 250 a game. Not to be outdone, Allen East, Miles McDormand had 256 yards and 5 touchdowns for the Mustangs. So we had a little offense in this one, Rebekah, mostly on the ground.
Yeah, that's some impressive yardage. Very cool.
And with that accomplished, we move on to Division 6, Region 22. 5-0 Bluffton fell 2 spots to number 3 after their 3rd straight win over a 1-4 opponent. The Pirates are likely in the playoffs, but a win over 5-0 Lima Central Catholic would just about secure a first-round bye. At number 6, we have Sherwood Fairview, and I do have them as having secured a playoff spot already. They also dropped 2 places after defeating 1-4 Tenora. They also play a 5-0 team this week. A win over Paulding makes a first-round bye likely for the Apaches. 5-0 Paulding is currently number 10. They barely survived against 0-5 Ayersville last week, as we mentioned before. If they lose to Fairview, it means they may need to defeat 4-1 Edgerton the following week to lock down a playoff invitation. This was also a mildly intriguing score here, Rebekah.
Okay. This is our
Didn't make my
mildly
list.
intriguing podcast.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't make my list, but
Okay.
number 7, Patrick Henry, who we generally think of as a fairly dominant team, they fell 1 position after defeating winless Wauseon 19-7. I would have expected a lot larger margin of victory in that game, personally.
Mm-hmm.
That may be why the Patriots are big underdogs against undefeated Liberty Center, but even with a loss, should still make the playoffs. If they defeat Liberty Center, that makes Patrick Henry favored for an opening round bye. At number 12 and living on the playoff bubble line, we have Convoy Crestview, who we mentioned barely survived against Allen East. The Knights still have Bluffton, Columbus Grove, and Lima Central Catholic on the schedule, and they will need to upset one of them just to be in contention for that 12th and final playoff spot. Down on the negative side of the playoff cut line, we find number 18, Van Buren. They probably need to win out to ensure a playoff berth. And 5-0 Liberty Benton is awaiting them in week 10. So obviously they cannot afford to lose to 3-2 Macomb this coming Friday. Number 19, Tenora is actually, where am I at? Tenora 1-4 right now, I believe. Yes, Tenora 1-4, but they are favored in their last 5 games. And if they win all 5, they should sneak into the playoffs with that 6-4 record. Number 20, Spencerville probably only needs to win 4 of their last 5, but they are underdogs in 4 of those games, so they're probably a little less likely to make the postseason. And number 21, Allen East probably needs to upset Columbus Grove this week just to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Anyway, this was kind of an interesting region, Rebekah, this week. Of the teams we follow, the top 6 teams in the computer points won this week. The bottom 7 that we follow lost this week. So it's usually not that cut and dried.
No. Funky. Okay.
Division 6, Region 24. Start with 3-2 Coldwater, jumped 4 spots to number 1 after defeating 3-2 Minster. And I have them as playoff bound and probably hosting a first round matchup, assuming they get victories over winless Parkway and winless Stelpa St. John's. 1 win in their final 3 games ensures the Cavaliers a home playoff game and makes an opening round bye quite possible. But those final 3 opponents are 4-1 New Bremen, 4-1 Versailles, and 5-0 Marion Local. So not a given.
A challenge.
Yep. Number 5, Tri-Village. They also jumped 4 positions and earned a playoff spot by defeating 3-2 Ansonia last week. I have the Patriots as 44-point favorites over 4-1 Mississinawa Valley, which would almost guarantee them a first-round bye in the playoffs of all those second-level points from that game. Certainly number 6, Mechanicsburg, dominated in defeating 2-3 Jamestown Greenview 42-6.
Mm-hmm.
The Indians should probably move up slightly with easy wins the next 2 weeks before they then face 5-0 West Jefferson and 5-0 Springfield Northeastern afterwards. Anna, now at number 9, they lost last week to St. Henry, fell 2 spots in the standings. I still have Anna as likely for the playoffs. They also still have games over winless St. John's this week and winless Parkway in week 10. They get those 2 victories, should be good for the playoffs. This region really drops off after about team 10 or 11 or so.
Oof.
1 win over their other 3 opponents, and their other 3 opponents are Versailles, Marion Local, and 3-2 Fort Recovery, would guarantee the Rockets reach the postseason. So they wouldn't just probably be in the playoffs. They would definitely be there with 1 win in those 3 games. If they could get victories in 2 of those 3 games, it makes a home playoff game very likely. At number 11, we find 3-2 Lima Perry. They face I'm going to call it a probable loss to 5-0 North Baltimore. Then they have a probable win over 0-5 Corey Rawson. Commodore's final 3 games will determine their season. I forget the exact opponents, but they are all what I call toss-up games, if you remember my definition there. All games within a touchdown either way. Probably not much happening for Lima Perry this week and next week, but then we'll get really interested in all their results. And I mentioned this region's a little weak in the bottom half. Mm-hmm. Number 15, Covington, won their first game last week. They're only 3 positions out of the postseason right now at number 15 in the standings.
Sure.
Covington is actually favored for their next 4 games. And if they get to that 5-5 record, that should be good enough for a road trip in the playoffs. Okay, on to Division 7, Region 26.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Lima Central Catholic held on to the number 1 spot by beating 0-5 Fort Laramie. Boy, what a schedule Fort Laramie's had to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
Lima Central Catholic locks up a playoff berth with that win. If they can defeat 5-0 Bluffton, that should guarantee the Thunderbirds a first-round bye in the playoffs. I can
Thunderbirds is a
almost
good
see the.
mascot.
Oh, it is. I could almost see the confetti falling down on Rebekah there. She was so excited overhearing that.
I
I'm waiting for balloons, maybe.
the ones that are undefeated, I mean, it's well deserved. It's not a surprise.
It's not surprising. No, it's not. On to another undefeated team, number 2, Leipzig. They get what I have listed as their last, in quotation marks, easy game against winless Riverdale
Yeah.
before they finish with 4 teams with winning records. If they get 1 win in those 4 games, the Vikings are in the playoffs. 2 victories should earn them a home game. 3 should get them a bye week. So pretty straightforward for Leipzig. 5, Arlington, number 5 in the standings, suffered their first loss, 24-14 to the team they're now tied with in the 5th spot, Pandora Gilboa.
Dramatic. Okay.
And not many ties that high up in the standings this late in the
No.
season. Arlington is a big underdog against Liberty Benton this week, as most teams seem to be. The Red Devils need to earn 3 more victories, so week 8 and 9 games against 3-2 Macomb and 5-0 Leipzig will define their season. On the other hand, Pandora Gilboa, currently 3-2, faces winless Elmwood before they have to take on Liberty Benton. The Rockets also need 3 more wins, but they are highly favored in 4 games, so 3 wins seem very probable for Pandora. And for Gilboa, I guess, huh? Can't leave one of the towns out. They're both there, right?
They are both there. Yeah. Nature of a combined school system.
Number 9 in the standings, Macomb, continues to rise after they put a running clock on number 14, Ada. Macomb is favored to win 3 to 5 more games, so 3 to games pretty solidly. 2 games are a lot closer. They need 4 wins to ensure a playoff berth. They might get in with just 3 more, but 4 would lock it up. 3-2 Ada also needs 4 more wins, but it is only favored against 2-3 Arcadia this week and 0-5 Riverdale the following game. After that, they need some upsets. Number 11, Ridgemont plays number 20, Upper Scioto Valley this Friday. Ridgemont's favored by 2 scores in the game. Ridgemont is favored by 2 scores, as this is one of 4 games against teams with a 2-3 record or worse. They need to win to play in the postseason. The Upper Scioto Valley Rams need a couple of upsets to be in the playoffs, and this game is more likely than some of the others on their schedule, so a big game for Upper Scioto Valley. Number 15, Waynesfield Goshen needs at least 4 more wins and should get the first against winless Corey Rawson Friday. After that, the Tigers face 4 toss-up games. Need to come out on top in at least 3 of them. So it's going to be a dramatic end of the season for Waynesfield Goshen, it sounds like. At number 19, we have a rather interesting situation. Columbus Grove took a few losses to start the season. They are currently 2-3? But they won 49-0 over Delphus Jefferson last Friday. And they play 1-4 Allen East this week. They are big favorites again this week. Let me see. Yeah, about 4 touchdown favorite this week. That trend probably continues against winless Fort Laramie the week after that. But the Bulldogs may still need to upset either Lima Central Catholic or Bluffton at the end of the season to reach the playoffs. So that is a team we're expecting a lot from when the season started. They started out slow, but working their way back. That's not a team I'd want to face if they sneak into the playoffs, I don't.
No, anyone with a 49-0, you said?
Yep.
That's scary on its own.
And a little bit of tradition at Columbus Grove, at least recently.
The blowout score or the slow start to the season?
No, the being a good team.
Ah, okay.
We'll wrap up this region with number 18 Antwerp, number 23 Arcadia, number 26 Hardin Northern. All need major upsets to play in a postseason game. We'll report back to you if they achieve those upsets. And that brings us to our team of the week.
Team of the week.
Team of the week. Ba, ba, ba. Our team never seems so good. So good, so good, so good. Team of the week. Ba, ba, ba. We believed we always would.
And I am naming this week 2-3 Toledo Christian.
Okay.
The computer said they were 30-point underdogs against 3-2 Ridgemont this week. They won 34-32. Toledo Christian had a 10-yard fourth quarter touchdown pass to secure the victory. After an 0-3 start to the season where they lost by an average score of 36-4. Our 8-man football championship team from last year may be readjusting to 11-man ball with their second straight win. They are now 16th in the computer points and still in the running for a playoff spot. So they didn't look very good those first 3 games. Thought maybe they should have stayed in 8-man, but they seem to be coming around very nicely. That makes them our team of the week.
Yeah, that's always good to hear. It's nice to have the 8-man league for people who can't field a full team, but it's even nicer for it to be a transition period. Get them
I would agree. Get
back
get a
in
little.
the solid divisions.
I don't think it's just a school spirit thing. I've heard that their actual class size altogether has been coming up the last couple of years. So there's more
Good.
people in the schools.
Good.
Takes us to Division 7, Region 28.
The big boy.
We'll start with Marion Local. They played undefeated New Bremen. New Bremen started the game with a kickoff return for a touchdown to take a 7-0 lead. Marion Local then scored the next 40 points in the game.
Yeah.
With that win,
surprise.
Yeah, the win leaves Marion Local as ranked number 1 in this region, and has Drew Pasteur says they are a 4-touchdown or more favorite the rest of the regular season.
Yeah.
Heavily favored to be the top seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they pull off the win against 4-1 Versailles this week, that would make Drew Pasteur's computer feel even more confident in his predictions. Don't know how confident a computer gets, but
I'm sure it could pretend.
At the very least, it's programmer, huh?
Yeah, at the very least.
Number 2 in the standings, we have St. Henry. They have wins over 3 teams with winning records, and they've really been pulling in points from their week 2 win over 4-1 Archbold. Victory at 3-2 Minster would lock up a home playoff game and make a first-round bye highly probable for the Redskins. And to be honest, even with a loss this week, they'll probably get into playoffs and get that home playoff game just as likely. So St. Henry looking good. The second level points are just rolling in. Number 7, New Bremen. Despite that loss to Marion Local, they are likely secure in their postseason invitation. Should be a lock for the playoffs, but a home game in the postseason may require wins over 3-2 Fort Recovery and 3-2 Minster these next 2 weeks. So some good challenges there for New Bremen the next 2 weeks. Sidney Lehman, number 10, one of our favorite teams last week. They are currently 10th in the standings in this region despite a 5-0 record, as they have now defeated 5 winless teams. 0 second-level points for Sidney Lehman.
That's impressive in its own right and not in a helpful way.
By the way, the schedule toughens up a bit for the Cavaliers as they host 1-4 Milton Union, who earned their first win of the season last week.
Just a little bit tougher.
A little bit tougher. A victory this week likely gets Lehman a playoff berth. And if they go 10-0, which they have a very good chance to do, they should finish in the top 4. So let's see, tied at number 10, we have Ansonia. Lost this last week. They are favored to win out, however, including being expected to win by over 4 touchdowns in their next 3 games. Those 3 wins alone should get the Tigers into the playoffs. A sweep of their final 5 games is needed if they want a home playoff game, however. Number 12, Miss Sinawal Valley. 4-1. They are a playoff team if they upset 5-0 Tri-Village this Friday.
Hmm.
Without this victory, if they lose to Tri-Village, and Tri-Village is a little bit of a favorite here by like 44 points, I believe.
Just a couple.
Yeah, so if Mineral Valley, loses this one, the Blackhawks need another big upset before the season is out to get into the postseason. Next, we have number 13 Minster and number 14 Fort Recovery. Both 3-2, both playoff bubble teams. Just by coincidence, these two teams play in week 10. And there's a good chance that matchup will determine who makes the playoffs and whose bubble is burst.
Okay.
Both teams can move into a little more secure territory with wins this week. Minster hosts 4-1 St. Henry. Fort Recovery hosts 4-1 New Bremen.
Not easy teams to win against.
Nope. Be good for their chances if they do, but don't count on it, right?
Yep.
And we also have number 16 DeGraff Riverside. They can stay alive for the postseason if they pull, we'll call it a mild upset over 2 and 3 Tip City Bethel. I think of it more as a 50-50 type game, but Bethel's a slight favorite in that game. And we're going to wrap it up with the 8-man football, Rebekah. We're going to keep the 8-man a little short here this week because I have seen 2 listing of their league standings, and they don't seem to be consistent. There are a number of teams at 8-man football who play a certain opponent twice. And we haven't been able to figure out how to tell which one is the game that counts in the league standings and which one is not yet.
Okay.
Word is out. We will have the answer by next week. But right now, I'm getting different answers from unofficial sources. So
when
we'll
you
just say
we, is that you and me? Or is that you and another source?
The podcast team.
Okay. All right.
You and me and whoever else I drag into it.
Okay. Good to know. I was wondering if you were having an 8-man football group chat with like Mr. Pastor and you're both like scrumbling over how to do the stats there.
No, but there has been a topic on yappy.net just about 8-man
or
football. Or
yappy.net, yeah.
So anyway, if we just go by non-conference, the overall standings, Sandusky St. Mary's 5-0 right now. Solvington Chalker 4-0. Look like our 2 favorites for the playoffs. There's a big game last week. Sandusky St. Mary's beat 4-1 Lakeside Danbury 33-8. So Sandusky St. Mary's looking really good. If Fremont St. Joseph loses to Sandusky St. Mary's this week, that means I like the winner of the Holgate Sebring McKinley game to move into playoff contention. So, it's just too early to say. I'll just say Oregon Cardinal Stritch at 0-5, probably not going to be in the playoffs here. The other teams all have a chance yet. And that wraps it up, Rebekah. Hope you all enjoyed this transition from just telling you who won to more of a what teams need to do in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Nice new information.
Well, it's kind of hard to do that early in the season, but now that we have 5 games in, that sort of thing is a little easier to do, and that's the path we'll take the rest of the season, I am sure.
Excellent. Good choice. If you're curious, I don't think I caught them all, but we did 39 weeks since I started counting post the intro.
Well, I guarantee you that the word only shows up about 12 times in the script, so
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Maybe it's a little more. We should do a search.
You don't say it much when you're doing scripted stuff. It's not there. It's when you start improvising that it starts cropping up a bit more.
Yes, it is.
But anyway, we had an enjoyable podcast. Once again, this was Bruce Monnin's Computer Points. Please like and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Podcast streaming, not live streaming. We don't do that yet. Maybe a special episode one time.
Ooh, you would agree to that, huh?
With enough preparation. I don't know if we're anywhere near technologically capable of it, but if I had heads up, I could do it. You also, of course, can rate and review this show on the very same platforms that you like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, it can be sent to us by email, by sending to bdmonnin@nktelco.net or submit it on X to @BruceMonnin, where it may be used in a future episode. You can, of course, always place your thoughts in the comment section of our YouTube page or catch Dad at his office hours on Wednesday evenings at Bud's. Wednesday mid-afternoons at Bud's.
Missed last week, but that should be the last time I miss for quite a while, I think.
We are, of course, on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. We're also on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, although you have to search a little harder to find the 2025 episodes. The 2024 ones will pop up first. When we transitioned to Spotify, didn't quite figure out how to clean up all of the sources, but
And
it's there.
I've noticed that the comments coming in of people volunteering to help us out with that have not been coming.
I mean, we barely wanted to help out with it. I'm not surprised the listener base isn't motivated. Oh my gosh. Anyway, they're there. Just search Bruce Monnin's Computer Points and make sure you're clicking the one that's updated in the last week. Thank you all for listening anyway.
Well, all right. And this is week 6 of the season coming up. You can almost guarantee this is the week we start getting more teams locking in playoff spots and unfortunately more teams being ruled as out of contention. Both of which will allow us to focus a little more on those teams in the middle there, right? Not bubble teams. We live for them, baby. And with that, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week. So long, everyone.